But what you'll start to see is that the tool is helping to improve that sliding relationship between the muscles and the superficial and deep fascia, and hopefully allow some more normal range of motion so that you can get back to doing the things that you want without that restriction in the system. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Excellence in Motion. I hope everyone is staying healthy, staying safe while we're at home, kind of dealing with this whole virus situation, which is exactly what brings us to today's specific topic. With people doing potentially more of their fitness and their sport at home and not being able to go to the gym or being able to go to the other places that you do those things that you do to stay active, there's the potential for us to be using other types of equipment that we're not used to and maybe developing certain sore spots in areas of the body that we're not particularly used to having sore spots in. For me particularly, I've been developing a lot of pain in my elbow that could be related to using different types of single arm implements, doing a lot more strict pull-ups in my doorway pull-up bar. Regardless of what that is, I've been having pain. The two most common types of elbow pain that we see in athletes are what we call golfer's elbow and tennis elbow. Basically just inflammation of the flexor tendon insertions here on the inside of the elbow or the extensor tendon insertions here on the outside of the elbow. A couple of the more common reasons why we see inflammation happening in the elbow is because of a repetitive flexion or extension force that puts a lot of stress where these muscles insert on the bones at those tendinous junctions. So what I have in store for you guys today are 3 simple things that you can use at home or anywhere else really to sort of manage that dysfunction that's happening in the elbow to hopefully relieve pain and improve those mechanics that are happening at that joint so that you're able to still perform and do the things that you want to do to the best of your ability. So let's start with the simplest one, lacrosse ball. Doesn't have to be a lacrosse ball, it can be a softball, a baseball, anything that's stiff and round like this, you can use to improve this relationship in the elbow, okay? So what we're looking at here is we want to take the ball and sort of find those trouble spots on the joint. Okay, for me, it's right on the inside of where these flexor tendons sort of insert on the inside of that elbow. So what I'm trying to do is either with this hand or down on the floor, pin down that system and create pressure, okay? With the pressure, I want to move that muscle system through its normal range of motion. In this case, it's this flexion and extension. It's going to cause those muscle fibers to expand and contract with the pressure from the lacrosse ball, sort of creating an ischemic environment or lack of blood flow, so that it can hopefully help improve this relationship between the fascial system, the tendons and the bones and the muscles. All right, spend some time moving back and forth, maybe even pressing in and sort of holding that position there. And upon release, letting some blood flow come back to that area and try to bring the groceries in and take the garbage out. Implement number 2 is if you have a scraping tool. Even if you don't have a scraping tool at home, using a smooth edge of a butter knife or anything like that can be really helpful. These are great because they're able to apply a more firm pressure on a muscle system than we're able to really create with our hands. So with this, what you'll want to do is find where you have these concave and these convex edges. The convex side is going to be a lot more aggressive on the tissues just because it's more of that point, it comes to a point and pushes on those systems a little bit harder, okay? But with this, all you want to do is find those tender spots and kind of go in at a 45-degree angle or so and just sort of scrape away on those tendons and those muscles to try to increase friction, increase blood flow, and break up any small adhesions that may have developed in the irritated area. And just kind of go back and forth for a while until you start to notice a little bit of redness. You may feel some grittiness in that area as well. But what you'll start to see is that the tool is helping to improve that sliding relationship between the muscles and the superficial and deep fascia, and hopefully allow some more normal range of motion so that you can get back to doing the things that you want without that restriction in the system. Our third and final implement is Voodoo Floss, all right? What we can do with this is create compression around the area that's irritable, and just like the lacrosse ball, try to move that system as much as we can to try to help increase that relationship in the area that's bothering us. And then upon removing the tension, a lot of blood flow is going to come rushing back into that area, bringing lots of nutrients, lots of good things that are going to help to improve inflammation and help decrease pain as we go through. This is very simple to use. The first trick to this whole thing is finding a way to get that first little bit of pressure yourself. If you need a buddy to kind of help you with this, that wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. And just get that first bit going until you can give yourself about 50% tension over the area that's irritable. So for me, it's at that insertion of the elbow, and then we're just gonna overlap by 50% and add that pressure again, okay? Come across, we're gonna add that pressure here at the base of the elbow, and just keep wrapping upwards, understanding that if you ever start to feel any numbness or tingling down into the hands, you know you've reached the limits of that tissue tolerance, and you want to abort. You want to take this off, not let that go any further. So for me, I feel like I've created enough compression above and below the area of concern for me. So I'm just going to find a way to tuck this in if I can. Give myself sort of a small escape hatch in case things start to go sideways or I feel like I've reached the end of that tissue tolerance, okay? And so from here, you can see that I've created a lot of pressure here at the elbow joint. It's pressing down on that insertion for my flexors, okay? So what I want to do is, again, go through this flexion and extension pattern, creating that forward and back sliding motion of those tendons over the bone, all right? Another way you can do this is sort of get this elbow and the wrist into extension, put those tissues on stretch, and then sort of just back and forth, move that elbow into flexion and extension, working on really grinding through that area of tenderness. Okay, you can flip this wrist around, sort of go into this flexion area, put these muscles on stretch on the back side. Bend the elbow a little bit if you can. You can even tack yourself down here and just create some torque back and forth over that joint. Give some good twisting motion with your other hand to try to improve that inside relationship of those tendons and those muscles over the bone, because that's been an area this entire time that's been getting a lot of work. And areas that get a lot of work need a lot of work. We're gonna develop soreness, we're gonna develop tenderness in almost anything that we do. And knowing how to take different tools and different implements to be able to work on yourself in the absence of a medical professional or rehab specialist is a great thing to have in the back of your pocket, okay? So you can tell that this is already starting to increase sort of or cut off some of the blood flow that's going into the distal part of my arm. There's no tingling, there's no numbness, but I can definitely tell that there is a difference in color, which tells me that I am cutting off enough of that blood flow, sort of getting a blood flow restriction sort of effect over this area, okay? So what I'm gonna do is just take this off, sort of unwrap that floss, and sort of just let that blood flow kind of rush back into the area. You can kind of tell that there's a little bit of pink going on here, which is okay. I didn't have any numbness or tingling. I didn't cut off that nerve to the hand or anything like that. But kind of work through this, find some of these things, implement them yourself, and see if it improves that relationship. Not only just in the elbow, but maybe even at the knee or at the ankle. Anything that you can really do to help yourself perform better when you're at home and you're doing different things that might be causing you pain. So hopefully this was really helpful for you guys. If so, please drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family. And just like always, I'll catch you on the next one.